Dear students, this is Praveen Agarwal from BV Department, RIMT Chandosi. In the previous lectures, we were discussing about the theory of demand, and in that lecture, we have discussed different concepts, just like what is demand, what is quantity demand, what is demand schedule. Now, in this lecture, I will tell you about the demand curve. The first topic of today's lecture is demand curve. So what is demand curve? As we know, what is curve? Curve is the graphical representation. And when this is in reference of demand, then demand has two variables. The first is price and second one is the quantity demanded. So when we represent the demand schedule with the help of graph, then we find a curve. This curve is known as the demand curve. So let us have a look at the definition. Demand curve is simply a graphic representation of demand schedule expressing the relationship between different quantities demanded at different possible price of a commodity. Okay. It is of two types. The first one is individual demand curve and second one is the market demand curve. Now we will talk about the first one, that is the individual demand curve. In the previous lectures, we have discussed that individual demand is the demand from the side of the single consumer. So when at the different possible prices of the commodity. So when we represent this individual demand schedule with the help of a graph, then we get individual demand curve. So individual demand curve is one that represents different quantities of the commodity demanded by a consumer at different prices graphically. So this is in reference of a single consumer. Look at here, one of the demand curve I have represented here. On the x-axis, I have taken quantity demanded. On y-axis, I have taken price in rupees per unit. Quantity demanded are 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Price 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So when the price is rupees 14, quantity is demanded quantity is 5. Price 13, quantity 6. Price 12, quantity 7. Price 11, quantity 8. Price 10, quantity 9. So in this way we are looking here that as price is decreasing, quantity is increasing. So when we join these points, we are having these points 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we have these points. When we match these points, we have a straight line curve. This straight line curve DD is known as the demand curve because one variable is decreasing and second variable is increasing. So the slope of demand curve is downward. So when there are two variables which are negatively related to each other, then in that case the curve will be downward from left to right. The demand curve slopes downward from left to right. It indicates that at higher prices demand is less and at lower prices demand is more. So it is clear. Now we move towards the market demand curve. Look here. Look here. Market demand curve. It is in reference of a complete market. And what is market? Market is the combination of all the consumers in the market, and market demand is the demand of a particular commodity from the side of all the consumers at different possible prices. So this curve represents the graphical presentation of the total of quantities of a commodity demanded by all the consumers in the market at different prices. Clear? For our easiness, I have divided the market into two consumers, A and B. This is the demand curve for A, this is the demand curve for B, and this is the demand curve for market. This is the combination of A and B. So here on the x-axis quantity, y-axis price. Okay, let us look at the A. A is demand curve 8765. When price is 9, demand is 8. Price is 8, demand 7. Price 7, demand 6. Price 6, demand 5. In the case of B, price 9, demand 7. 8, 6, 7, 5, 6, 4. Now look at the market. When we combine A and B both, okay, combine these two. When price is 9, demand A demand 8, B demand 7, total demand 15. At price 8, A demand 7, B demand 6, total market demand 7 plus 6, 13. A demand 6, B demand 5, total demand 11 at price 7. At price 6, A demand 5, B demand 4, Total market demand 9. So this DDM curve represents the total market demand curve. We see here that total market demand curve behaves like the individual demand curve. The slope of market demand curve is downward from left to right. Okay, so slope of this curve is also indicating inverse relation between price of the commodity and its quantity demanded. Clear? So this is about the demand curve. Now we move towards the next topic of theory of demand, and this topic is demand function or determinants of demand. Demand function. What is function? A function defines the relation between two or more variables, where one variable is dependent variable and the rest of the variables are independent variable. In the same way, when we are talking about a demand function, then demand function shows the relationship between demand for a commodity and its various determinants. That determinant means the factors which are having impact over the quantity demanded of a commodity. It means that it shows how demand for a commodity is related to its determinants. Clear? Various determinants of demand are, the first one is price of the commodity, price of the other related goods. Other related goods, two types of goods are there: substitute goods and complementary goods. Third one is income of the consumer, taste and preference of the consumer, expectation about price change in future, population, distribution of income, technology. These are the determinants of demand. If we symbolically follow, then demand function will be dx is equal to function of p, p0 by te, pp, id, te, where dx is equal to quantity demanded. So this particular function is known as the demand function. Now we will discuss what is the effect of these particular determinants of demand over quantity demanded. Start from the one. The first one is price of the commodity. When there is a change in the price, if price increases, quantity demanded decreases, and if price decreases, quantity demanded increases. It means that there is an inverse relation between price and quantity demanded of the commodity, while other things remaining constant. Same is for price of other related goods, substitute goods and complementary goods. Substitute goods. So what are substitute goods? The goods which are used interchangeably are known as the substitute goods, just like tea and coffee. And complementary goods which are used together with each other, just like pen and ink, car and petrol. Okay. In case of substitute goods, the effect of, if there is a change in the price of substitute goods, then there is a direct relation. And in case of complementary goods, there is an inverse relation. Okay. Now come to the third one, income of the consumer. Income of the consumer, there is direct relation between quantity demanded and income of the consumer. It means increase in income, increase in quantity demanded, decrease in income, decrease in quantity demanded. Taste and preference, direct relation. If any of the commodity is according to the taste and preference of the consumer, demand increases. Is not according to the taste and preference, demand decreases. Next one is expectation about price change. If consumers think that there will be an increase in the price of the commodity in future, then in today its demand will increase. Okay, so there is direct relation. And population, if in any of the country or any other place the population is more, then there will be more demand. So there is direct relation. Distribution of income, if income is distributed equally, then demand will be more, and if there is not equal distribution, then demand will be less. Technology, if superior technology is used, demand will be more. Inferior technology is used, then demand will be less. So this is the effect of these determinants on the quantity demanded of a commodity. Thank you.